Now, the final part I want to briefly touch on with respect to numbers in Python is the offering of modules that enable you to use numbers without having to remember them yourself. So for example, there is a module called Math that enables you to carry out different kinds of mathematics like trigonometry, probability, statistics, and so on. So let's say we want to reference the number for pi. We may remember our teachers telling us that pi is equal to 3.142. And some would show off by remembering even more decimal places. But with the math module, rather than having to type it in ourselves, we can use methods and attributes from the math module. So we can type import math, which is us telling Python to import a package that can perform certain tasks. This will be explained in a lot more detail when we discuss modules and packages later in the course. We can then type math, which is the name of the library, and then put a dot. This dot is just us telling Python that we want to perform some operation using the math library. Now in Jupyter Notebook, there is a very useful feature which allows us to quickly explore the offerings of the functionality of the respective object. So if I press the tab key at this point, I get a list of all the things I can now do with the math module. And if I scroll down, you can see I have something called pi. And if I select this and then run the code cell, I get the value of pi returned. In fact, I could use other functions from this module like performing a factorial calculation. So if I type math and then place a dot and then start typing factorial, you can see we have something called factorial appear. And if I enter 6 inside the parentheses, we perform the calculation 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And we get 720. Now please don't worry if you've got slightly lost at this point. There's lots of terminology to get up to speed with, and it can sometimes be confusing when thrown terms like functions and methods and attributes and what the differences are, or even what this dot means in the code. All you need to take away from this video is that there are many libraries that can help us work with numbers more efficiently without having to build it ourselves. We're going to cover this in detail when we dive into the world of modules and packages, but before we get there, let's dive into the world of strings.